Welcome dear students. Today we will discuss about the sensory organs. All of you know there are 5 sensory organs in body: eye, ear, skin, tongue and nose. First of all, we will discuss about the position, about the movement and anatomical structures of eyeball. Eyeball is present in the eye socket or eye orbit of skull, and each eyeball is present in the eye socket or eye orbit of skull with the help of 6 muscles. These muscles are called extraocular muscles. These muscles are striated and voluntary. You can move the eyeball with your desire according to the direction where you want to see. The names of these 6 extraocular muscles are superior oblique, superior rectus, medial rectus, lateral rectus, inferior oblique and inferior rectus. These 6 muscles have to rotate or move the eyeball according to the desire of animal or according to the desire of person. Medial rectus muscle is important to move the eyeball towards the abduction, medial or inward direction towards the nose. Lateral rectus muscle moves the eyeball towards the outward direction, lateral direction you can see is the abduction condition. But for the elevation or upward movement of eyeball towards the upward position, 2 muscles are required. One is inferior oblique and another is the superior rectus. For the depression or downward movement of eyeball, 2 muscles are required. One is superior oblique and another is the inferior rectus muscle. These muscles are innervated by 3 important cranial nerves which arises from the brain. The important way to learn what muscles are innervated by what type of nerve: the lateral rectus muscle is innervated by 6th number abducens cranial nerve, superior oblique muscle is innervated by 4th number trochlear nerve of brain, and superior rectus, inferior rectus, medial rectus and inferior oblique muscles are innervated by 3rd number cranial nerve. You can learn all these points at LR6 and SO4. LR6 lateral rectus by the 6th number of cranial nerve and SO4 4th number nerve innervate to the superior oblique. Now about the structure of anatomical structure of eyeball. Eyeball is formed of 3 layers. The outermost layer is called sclerotic layer, also called sclera, which is completely white layer formed of white collagenous fibrous connective tissue. This tissue is very hard, rigid and rigid tissue which protects the eyeball. Its anterior part, this layer is also called as the white of eye. The outer part of this layer is some projected outwardly and transparent, and this part is called cornea. Cornea is one of the most important part of eyeball which help to form the image on the retina. Cornea is formed of is a different type of tissue. You have to learn about the type of tissue, what type of tissue form, what type of body organ, what type of layer, what type of structure in the eyeball. Cornea is formed of another type of tissue, and this tissue is stratified squamous epithelium tissue. This tissue is very important to protect the part. Cornea is the outer part of eyeball, hence to protect the cornea, special flexible, very thin and transparent membrane called conjunctiva membrane is found over the cornea. This conjunctiva membrane is very highly repairable, and that can be repaired within 12 to 24 hours. This membrane, conjunctiva membrane, is formed of stratified cuboidal epithelium tissue. These tissues are very important. These tissues, the name of these tissues are very important. The conjunctiva tissue is formed of stratified cuboidal epithelium tissue. Cornea is the only part of eyeball that can be transplanted from one person to another person. Middle layer of eyeball is called choroid. Choroid layer is highly vascular layer, rich with the blood supply, also called uvea, uvea, also called uvea, can be also called as the vascular layer of eyeball because it is rich with the blood supply. Can be also called as the nutritive layer of eyeball because this layer supplies the nutrition and oxygen to the different parts of eyeball. Its anterior part, the anterior part of choroid, is not attached to the cornea. it moves inwardly to form a circular diaphragm-like structure having an aperture in the middle. This diaphragm-like structure, which is the extension of choroid, is called iris. Iris is the colored part of eyeball. One question is there ki which part of eyeball provides the color to eyeball? The answer is iris. The color of iris is different in different functions, generally black, maybe brown, maybe green, or maybe blue. Iris has an aperture in the middle. This aperture is called pupil. Iris functions as a diaphragm of the automatic photographic camera. Actually, iris is formed of two types of involuntary muscles. Involuntary muscles, that is the contraction of these muscles independent from your desire. When you are present in the bright light, then the contraction in the circular muscles occur and your pupil becomes small. Because this small pupil is sufficient to receive the proper amount of bright light. You require a less amount of bright light. If your pupil is large in this bright condition, then measure or more amount of light will enter in your eye and you will feel brightness in your eye. Hence, pupil has to be small during the bright light. And if you move towards dim light, then with the help of radial muscles, or you can say with the help of radial muscles or dilatory muscles, the pupil enlarges. And this pupil must be large in this condition because light is very dim and you require more light, you require more light because light is dim for the proper vision. So this process is called pupillary reflex. This is completely involuntary process and you can see this process easily by taking a mirror on the darkness or in the bright light. So this process is called as the pupillary reflex. Now, about the third layer. The third layer of eyeball is very important, a nervous layer of eyeball, and it is called retina. Retina is formed of different types of nervous tissue, nerve cells, different type of accessory cells which join the main nerve cells on which the image is formed. The image which is formed on the retina is always inverted, small and real because this image is formed on the screen. Hence, it is called real image, not virtual, real image, inverted image and very small image. But when this image is sent to the brain through optic nerve fibers in the form of impulse, then brain feels this image. Upright position, same size position, and you are able to see the image. Image, the function of eye is not to see the vision, no. Eye is only from the image. This image is sent to the brain. The brain feels what is the actual image. The middle portion of retina is yellow colored, dark yellow colored. It is called macula lutea or yellow spot, rich with a specific type of cell. I will tell you later on what are the specific type of cells and what is the function of these cells, but these cells are called cone cells. So this area is very rich with the cone cells and this area is called yellow spot or macula lutea. In the case of mammals, this yellow spot or macula lutea has a depression in the middle and this depression is called as the fovea centralis. Here one important point, in the case of frog, this fovea centralis is absent. Depression is absent, but circular region is present, but the depression is absent. Here on the fovea centralis, the most clear, sharpest and brightest image is formed due to the presence of the more cone cells, because cone cells are very useful to see in the bright light or for the proper vision. A biconvex transparent lens is found which is attached by ciliary muscles with the help of suspensory ligaments. Lens divides the cavity of eyeball into two chambers. The anterior chamber is called aqueous chamber and posterior chamber is called vitreous chamber. Actually, we are able to see properly near object and far object at a same place. एक ही जगह पर खड़े होकर we can see properly the far object as well as distant object, and this process is very important and unique character of mammals. Not all mammals, but several mammals. In the case of human, this process is done by ciliary muscles and this process is called as the power of accommodation. When we see near object, then ciliary muscles contract. When ciliary muscles contract, then stretching disappears from the suspensory ligaments. Suspensory ligaments become stretchless due to without the tension, lens becomes thick, focal length decreases, and this lens is applicable or able to form a proper image of the near object on the retina. But when we see the far object, then ciliary muscles get relaxed. Stretching occurs on the suspensory ligaments, and when stretching occurs, then lens becomes thin and flat. Focal length increases, and this lens is able to form the image of the distant objects. This process is very important. We are able to see near and far both objects. It is called power of accommodation, completely involuntary process. Retina is itself formed of different type of cells and different type of layers. The outermost layer of retina, which is attached to the choroid, this is scleroid, this is choroid layer, and this is retina. The outermost layer of retina, which is attached with the choroid, is pigmented epithelium layer filled with the melanin granules that makes the internal environment of eyeball black and dark, because black or darkness is required in a camera, or you can say in an eye, for the formation of vision. Hence, darkness is maintained in the eyeball with the help of pigmented epithelium layer, which is the outermost part of retina. In the inner side, different layers are formed. Some cells are called rod cells, some cells are called cone cells, some other cells bipolar neurons, bipolar nerve cells, some other cells are ganglionic cells. These cells are arranged in three layers: layer of rod and cone cells, layer of bipolar neurons, and layer of ganglionic cells. Rod cells, thin, very long, help to see in the dim light, and more in number. Very important point. These rod cells are more in number, having a special pigment. This pigment is called rhodopsin or visual purple. This pigment is these rod cells, with the help of these pigments, able to form the image, able to see in the dim light. You are able to see in the dim light with the help of rod cells. Another are cone cells, less in number, contain a different type of pigment called iodopsin or visual violet, cone-like, and these cells are useful for the bright vision in the bright light. But I have told you that fovea centralis contains only cone cells, hence here on the fovea centralis the most clear and sharpest image is formed. But on the remaining region of retina, all the two types of cells are found: cone cells and rod cells. Cone cells in the bright light vision and rod cells in the dim light vision. Towards the inner side of rod and cone cells layer, bipolar neurons are found. Towards the inside of bipolar neurons, ganglionic cells are found. One important point is there: the axons of ganglionic cells are very long and form the optic nerve fibers. Optic nerve fibers are actually the axons of ganglionic cells. These optic nerve fibers passes out from the eyeball by an opening, by place. This place is called blind spot. Here the retina is broken down, retina is absent, retina is completely absent, hence here the image is not formed, hence this place is called blind spot. Image is not formed here because no rod cells, no cone cells, retina is even absent. All these cells are found in a specific arrangement in the retina. Outermost pigmental epithelium, then layer of rod and cone cells, layer of bipolar neurons, layer of ganglionic cells. Some horizontal cells are also found between these cells, and the process of horizontal cells join rod and cone cells and dendrites of dendrites means upper part of bipolar neurons. You know that every nerve cell has two parts, upper part is called dendrite, lower part is called axon. So these horizontal cells are specific cells which join, the process of these cells join rod and cone cells, process of rod and cone cells, and the dendrites of bipolar neurons. Some another type of cells are also found, and these cells are called amacrine cells. Amacrine cells, the process of these cells join the axon of bipolar neurons and dendrites of ganglionic cells. But all these cells are arranged in a specific manner. Outer part pigmented epithelium layer, towards the inner side of pigmented epithelium layer, layer of rod and cone cells layer, but the nuclei of rod and cone cells are not present in the retina as a scattered manner, not a scattered manner. These are arranged in a specific layer. This layer is called as the outer nuclear layer. because cytons or nucleus of these cells are not scattered, are present in a layer, and this layer is called outer nuclear layer. Below this nuclear layer you are seeing that several junctions of nerve fibers are found. Synapse, you know, synapse is found, and this layer is called outer plexiform layer. Below this layer inner nuclear layer is found, and this inner nuclear layer contains the nuclei of horizontal cells, nuclei of amacrine cells, and nuclei of bipolar neurons. These are not in a scattered manner, you are seeing. These are arranged in a single layer, in a specific layer. It is called as the inner nuclear layer. And then inner plexiform layer, the another synaptic layer, the another synaptic or intermingled layer of the nerve fibers. And another is the ganglionic cell layer, contains the nuclei of ganglionic cells, and then nerve fibers layer, which contains the axons of ganglionic cells, ultimately form the optic nerve fibers. This is about the eye, structure of eye, different layers of eyeball and different cells of eyeball. Now, if we discuss about another sensory organ that is also the important sensory organ called ear. Ear is also called as phonoreceptors. Phono means phone because it receives the sound, hence also called phonoreceptor. This ear is also called, very important term, this ear is also called statoacoustic organ. Stato means balance and acoustic means hearing. Ear functions, there are two functions of ear in the body. The primary function of ear is body balance, not hearing. Hearing function in the ear is given by the nature during the evolutionary time, because first of all ear is from, let assume karo ki ear is present in the snake, but in snake ear is not able, in snake ear doesn't have to hear or doesn't have to receive the sound. Snakes receive the sound from its skin through vibrations. So why the ear is present in the snake? Ears are present in the snake only to make the body balance, body posture or body equilibrium. The primary function of ear, the ears were given by the nature to the animals for body balance. But secondary function of ear is hearing. The parts of ear, then in the mammalian ear, three separate parts are found. One is external ear, it is called pinna or external ear, middle ear, and then the internal ear. The presence of pinna or external ear is the unique characteristic feature of only mammals. Maybe in some mammals ears are external ear is absent, like whale, dolphin, but internal and middle ears are present. But in normal mammals, ears is divisible into three parts: external ear or pinna, middle ear and internal ear. This external ear pinna is very important for the mammals. Actually, the shape of mostly mammals, horse, dog, different other mammals, the shape of pinna is like this, half funnel shape, and this shape of pinna can receive the sound vibration only from one direction. Hence, nature has provided some specific type of muscles attached to pinna. With the help of these pinna muscles, this pinna can be moved by the animal according to the direction of sound. If the sound comes from this side, then pinna faces towards this side, and if the sound is present towards the backward direction or bend direction, then this pinna can be moved with the help of pinna muscles towards the direction of sound, and the animal is able to receive the sound. But in the case of human, due to the specific shape of pinna, this shape of pinna can receive the sound vibration from all the direction without the movement. There is no need to move the pinna, because sound can be received from this shape of pinna, from this direction, from this direction, from this direction. Hence, there is no need to move the pinna. Hence, pinna muscles are vestigial, non-functional or rudimentary structures in humans. So, pinna muscles are vestigial in humans, but pinna muscles are very useful to move the pinna according to the direction of sound in the other mammals. This pinna opens into the middle ear by a short canal in humans. The length of this canal is 2.5 centimeter generally. This canal is called external auditory canal or external auditory meatus. One very important point, this canal contains a specific type of glands called ceruminous glands. These glands secrete a wax-like secretion called cerumen or wax. What is the importance of this wax? This wax prevents the dust particles and impurities which enter into the ear through sound to protect the internal part of ear. Ceruminous gland are not the modification of sebaceous glands. Mostly students think that these glands should be the modification of sebaceous gland because these glands secrete the oily secretion or waxy secretion, but these are not the modification of sebaceous glands. These are the modification of the specific type of sweat gland, and these sweat glands are the apocrine sweat glands. I think all of you know that sweat glands are of two types. One is mucocrine sweat gland. Mucocrine sweat gland secrete dilute sweat without any smell, without any pigment, without fat, present in mostly body organs, but some specific type of sweat glands are also found in body, near underarms, around sexual organs, around the anus, which secrete concentrate sweat. This sweat has some pigments, yellow color pigments, and undergarments also acquires this yellow color, some fatty, some fats, and these are the apocrine sweat gland. So these ceruminous glands which are found in the ear are modification of apocrine sweat gland, secrete concentrated sweat. Not sweat, this specific sweat is called cerumen or also called ear wax to prevent dust particles and impurities of sound. At the end of this canal, an oblique कान का पर्दा, an oblique tympanum or eardrum is found, normally called कान का पर्दा. This is tympanum, tympanic membrane or eardrum. This tympanum or eardrum transmit the sound vibration towards the middle ear side of ear. When sound strikes on the tympanum, tympanum vibrate and transfer this sound towards the inner side. Now we will move towards the middle ear. The cavity of middle ear is called tympanic cavity, filled with air. This tympanic cavity is covered by or protected by a bony covering. This bony covering is called tympanic bulla. Very important point. This tympanic cavity, which is the air filled cavity, opens here into this part pharynx by a tube. This tube is called Eustachian tube. Actually, this tube helps to maintain the air pressure in tympanic cavity or middle ear cavity equal to the outer environmental pressure, not temperature, pressure. This tube helps to maintain the air pressure in middle ear almost equal to the outer environmental pressure. It must be present. The pressure must be equal towards both the direction of both the sides of tympanum for the protection of tympanum. This is the function of Eustachian tube. Now middle ear opens into the internal ear by two aperture. The upper aperture is oval shape, fenestra ovalis. The lower aperture is rounded, called fenestra rotundus. Sound vibration transmit to the internal ear from tympanum to the internal ear with the help of three ear ossicles. Ossicles, bony pieces. So three ear bony pieces or bones are found in the ear called ear ossicles. The names of these ear ossicles are malleus, incus and stapes. Stapes is the smallest bone of body. Malleus, incus, stapes are of specific shape. Malleus is of hammer shaped. Incus is anvil. Anvil is the small hammer which is used by the jewelers, and stapes is strap shaped. These bones help to transmit the sound towards the internal ear or towards the machine of internal ear or ear, which receives the sound and converts the sound into the impulse, and then impulse is sent to the brain and brain feels what is this sound, आपने क्या सुना? These three bones, malleus, incus, stapes, are not the bones of ear during the embryonic stage. Actually, these bones were the bones of skull. Skull की bones थी, but as soon as development progresses, these bones goes down, come into the ear and modify into the ear bones and help to the transmission of sound vibrations. The names of these bones that were present in the embryonic stage are AQH, articular, quadrate and hyomandibular. एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन आता है कि malleus, incus, stapes are the modification of. तो malleus, incus, stapes are the modification of articular, quadrate and hyomandibular bone. The sound transmits from the pinna, external auditory canal, tympanum, malleus, incus, stapes and fenestra ovalis and towards the internal ear. Now we will move towards the internal ear, which is the main machine of ear. Internal ear is surrounded by a bony covering. This bony covering is called bony labyrinth, filled with a fluid. This fluid is called perilymph. In this perilymph, a specific unsymmetrical structure is found. This structure is called membranous labyrinth. This membranous labyrinth contains several parts, like one large chamber called utriculus, one small chamber called sacculus, one tube which arises from the sacculus which is coiled called cochlea. 3 semicircular tubes also arise from the utriculus part. This one, and this one. These tubes are called semicircular canals. One end of each semicircular canal is projected bulb-like, swollen, and this bulb-like portion of semicircular canal is called ampulla. These are the different parts of membranous labyrinth or the internal ear: utriculus, sacculus, semicircular canal, ampulla, and cochlea. Cochlea contains a specific sensory part called organ of Corti, which receives sound vibration, transmit the sound vibration towards the brain through auditory nerve, 8th number nerve, and brain feels what is this sound. The remaining part, utriculus, sacculus, semicircular canal, and ampulla, help to receive the body posture or body balance. These parts of utriculus, sacculus, semicircular canal, and ampulla help in the body balance, and cochlea has a specific part called organ of Corti, which is important to in the hearing or to receive the sound vibration. Cochlea has different parts for the passage of sound. 2 membranes, one is called retinar membrane, second is called basilar membrane, divides the cochlea into 3 cavities: scala vestibuli, upper cavity, middle cavity is scala media, lower cavity is scala tympani. Through these cavities, sound ultimately reaches to the organ of Corti, and then organ of Corti receives the sound vibration, converts the sound vibration into the impulse. This impulse is sent to the brain through auditory nerve, and brain feels what is this sound. So this is the mechanism of the entry of or pathway of the sound vibration towards the brain. This was all about 2 important sensory organs, eye and ear. Next time we will discuss another 3 important sensory organs, nose, tongue, and skin. Wish you all the best and good luck.